Hi, I'm Jill from June Taylor with another innovative solution. Did you ever want to join your quilt blocks that are made Quilt As You Go? Now we have a perfect way to do that with our Sash and a Dash. It's pre-sewn sashing. It's sold by the yard in 7 colors with matching binding. Open the casing and nest your quilt block inside the casing. And then we're just going to run a top stitch down the edge. Take your next block, open the casing, and just do the same thing. To join rows, we're going to do the same thing, only we're going to run our Sash and a Dash across the row. You can run a beautiful embroidery stitch down here to embellish Sash and a Dash, or you can even put a strip of fabric down here. Here's an example where we added a fabric strip by folding under raw edges and top stitching over Sash and a Dash. And if you like to make t-shirt quilts, go ahead and quilt your blocks and then join them with Sash and a Dash.
The Pine Burr is a classic quilt design that's been popular for over 100 years, admired for the intricate cutting and sewing skills required to make such a complex block. But now, this traditional block is a whole lot easier to create using the Go Pine Burr 10-inch finished block on board or bob die. Where the time it would take to simply cut the pieces for one block would have stopped quilters from creating this beautiful design, the die makes it possible to cut an entire 10-inch finished 3-color block in just one pass through any Go cutter, including the Go Me. If you can sew a 1/4-inch seam, you can now create Pine Burr blocks with ease, fashioning them into stunning throat quilts, table runners, and more. This popular block has stood the test of time, but it can also create looks that are fresh and clean as forest air. The Go Pine Burr 10-inch finished die is sure to inspire you as you experience how easy it is to work with, because at AccuQuilt, we help you cut time so you can quilt more. In today's show, we're going to show you how to cut and sew a block using the new Go Pine Burr die. Quilters, welcome to AccuQuilt Live. I'm Pam Hiller, AccuQuilt's cutting expert. Thanks for joining us today. Chris is in the house. Well, kind of. How are you?
Hello, doing well. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. What's new with you?
Oh my gosh, I feel like I have so much going on right now, but I actually have a quilt along starting on Sunday for my Feel It in Your Bones pattern. If anyone wants to join along.
Do you see me getting closer to the, and how can we get this? Because I need to do that.
Just head over to my website, rosecityoriginals.com. It's right there on the main page to sign up.
And is it a PDF? I can just download it, or do you have to mail it to me?
I have it for, nope, I have a PDF version also, yep.
Okay, everybody start it with us. I'm super excited. And there was something else I was going to tell you that was super exciting that you were doing. Oh, tell us about your little videos that are now online at AccuQuilt.
Yes, so I did that mini series. I was there 2 months ago, feels like, filming, and it's for using your AccuQuilt for the first time. So if you bought an AccuQuilt and it's still sitting in the box, it's time to bust it out and make a quilt.
It is, it is. Okay, and if you have not been following Chris, you should. On all social media platforms, he's Rose City Originals. Tell me about the log cabin skull quilt and why there's not a pattern for that I can make.
There's not a pattern yet that you can make. I am working on it. It was a lot more popular than I thought it would be.
I'm watching it, and I was gone. I think you started it when I was last week in wherever I was, Grand Rapids. Mm-hmm. Was it last week I was there? I think so. And I was like, huh. So Chris used our log cabin die. Did you use our log cabin?
The skull is not the log cabin die, but I did use the log cabin die for a scrappy project last month.
What did you use for the skull?
It's just 2.5-inch strips.
Oh, there's a die for that.
There is, yes.
Okay, so check it out. I want a pattern really bad because I thought it was super cool. All right.
It's coming.
Anything else happening before we see where everybody's watching from?
I think that's it for now.
Okay. Oh, hey, I learned a fun fact. Do you know that?
Oh, what's that?
So Chris lives in Portland, Oregon. thus Rose City. Do you know that at the Portland airport, they have emotional support llamas that you can pet?
I just learned about that, actually.
I almost sent you the link yesterday when I saw it, and I'd seen it like 3 or 4 times. So any of you quilters going to Portland to PDX, find the llamas, take a picture. There's a die for that, by the way. Okay, let's see where everybody's watching from. Oh my gosh. Damber's watching from Fairbanks, Alaska. Do you think it's nice right now in Alaska? I bet it's gorgeous in Alaska.
Probably.
Tell us what the temperature is in Alaska. And Thea's watching from Pennsylvania, and Becky is watching from Everett, Washington, the home of Boeing. All right, let's showcase our projects from our intro video. First up is Janet S. Chris, do you not love this?
It's amazing.
It's
like the play with colors is just incredible.
Janet, I just want you to send it to me. Do you know what die she used?
Oh, it's the
it's
Rising Star?
Morning Star.
Morning Star.
Which is one of my top 5 dies. But I've never seen those colors like that. It looks phenomenal. Next we have Chris. Look at this. So Chris, how do you think she made this? With a cube.
I'm thinking just a cube, yeah. Looks like half square triangles, but what a clever way to use it.
Well, and what a clever way to just talk about all the ribbons. So,
right.
All right, and then last up we have Marta. And Marta is already for Christmas, because look at how pretty this is. So I want to think that Marta used maybe the Rising Star die in the center to make that 10-inch block. Okay, and then the 10-inch cube. And then I think the outside, Marta, tell us if we are wrong, the outside is just the center block of the Rising Star.
It looks like it's the center block maybe on point. Huh. That is very interesting.
Oh, now that you say
love
that, Chris. Chris, are you right? Maybe she used a 5-inch cube to make the border. Marta, let us know.
Well, Marta, yes, now we need to know, so drop it in the comments.
Inquiring minds want to know. Okay, listen, this is my photo of the day. This is a beach house somewhere in a beach. And since we're talking about Pine Burr, which are usually pine trees are found in the forest, my question today is, would you prefer a cabin in the woods or a beach house? And I think everybody here wanted a beach house. Chelsea, did you want a beach house, Kenyon? Oh, Kenyon wants to go to the woods, but Greg wanted a beach house. What about you?
I want a beach house specifically on like a Pacific Northwest beach, so it's nice and gloomy and not full of people surfing.
So I love everything about that, Chris, because in my head I can totally see that happening. But I want a beach that there are not surfers, but there is sunshine so I can swim. Because I do love to swim in the beach. And the Pacific Northwest, the water is way too cold to swim.
Way too cold. Yeah.
Way too cold. For those of you thinking, oh, I'm going to Washington to the coastline or Oregon to the coastline, don't expect to swim. Okay, so in the comment sections, let us know, do you want a beach house or a cabin in the woods? Today I'm going to give away one of our Go Pine Burr dies. Be sure and register for future events on the AccuQuilt event page for your chance to win. And Chris is going to announce the winner of our registered viewer at the end of our show. All right, so let's talk about this die. Oh, wait, do I talk about this yet? Oh, I will, in 1 second. Did I miss National Sewing Month? It's coming up. Oh, good. Okay. This is the Pine Burr die, and Chris, you made a project for this, and he's going to give us some tips and tricks later as we start to sew the block. But it's screen printed for easy placement of your pieces. And these little isosceles triangles are super cool because we've cut off all the dog ears. Okay? And we've cut off the dog ears here, allow you to know where those perfect 1/4 inch seams are. Now this is our September die to try. So it's only available through the end of the month or until we sell out. And in previous months, we have sold out. So make sure you pick one up either from your local retailer or AccuQuilt.com. and now I can talk about it. Before we get started, AccuQuilt is celebrating National Sewing Month, which is one of the reasons we had Chris come in, was to help people use their go cutters and to learn how to sew and make, and you make a whole quilt, right?
A whole quilt, start to finish, quilting it, binding it, everything.
Binding it. We had a whole conversation about binding. All right, so AccuQuilt is celebrating, and we have a little contest going. So what you need to do is create an original project using either the Go Lemon die. Here, can I get that, Greg? Am I good? I don't want to get there. We go. The Go Lemon die and the Go Pineapple die. These are both applique dies by our good friend Janine LaCour. All right, and let me show you what the dies look like, because Kenyon pulled them for us. So here's all the shapes you need to make that fun pineapple. And then here's our applique lemons. Really fun dies. So what you want to do is create an original project using either one of those project dies, applique dies. Post it on any social media platform tagging AccuQuilt. So if you put hashtag AccuQuilt or AccuQuilt built, we can find it. We're going to choose a winner, and that quilter will receive, get this, $150 in AccuQuilt reward points. The contest goes from September 1st through the 30 days of September the 30th. So let's see what you've got, okay? So those two dies, you want to make sure you're using one of those. All right, so I'm going to walk back here. This is the project on the packaging. This is the Go Red Pine Forest Throw Quilt, and it is a free pattern at AccuQuilt.com. So you're going to see the Pine Burr block right here in the center, and you're going to notice a couple of things about this project. When you make the blocks, they're opposite colors. So the center is red here and white here. The teeth are red and white. And I love this project because it just shows the versatility of our bob dies and our AccuQuilt dies on how color changes everything. It also has some sashing that we'll talk about towards the end. So this is the die that's on the pattern that's on the packaging. So if you want to make it, you just need 100 yards, 1.5 yards of red fabric, and 1.5 yards of white fabric, and our Go Pine Burr die, okay? Now, we're going to take a look at the die. And, okay, first of all, okay, I don't know when I was there. A couple of weeks ago, I think I was in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And I was at AQS Grand Rapids, and I want to say hi to everybody that I met at the Grand Rapids show. We had so much fun. We took lots of selfies, and we made some charity quilts. But while I was there, those good people in Michigan had some real specific questions, and they said, you know, Pam, when you're in a Wednesday show, could you address some of the questions that we have? So I actually wrote down a whole bunch of like Michigan moment questions. And one of the questions was, how can I clean my die? So hold on, I got to get into my raccoon drawer. I call it that because it makes all the noise. Okay. So I purposely left this. Can we get an overhead, I guess, Kenyon? Kenyon didn't know I was going to do this. There we go. Okay, so see right here, these are some of the threads from the fabric that I cut earlier for my block. So I'm going to tell you the first thing you can do is just take like a lint roller brush, and sometimes, wow, that is a good shot, Greg. My gosh. You can use a lint roller brush, but we have this tool called a die pick, and you can get it on the website. You can get it from your retailer. And basically what it does is it's like a little dental tool kind of apparatus. And look, it allows you to pull those little strings out without hurting your die. The trick is you want to just be really gentle along the blades so that you can clean out those dies. So if you're wondering, how do I clean my dies? Get your little die pick. We'll show you how to do it. But a lint roller brush a lot of the times just pulls those things up. Okay? All right. Thank you, Greg. That was a great shot. All right, so this is on a 6x24 die board, so it's going to fit through all of our Go cutters, including the Go Me. There we go. And it is called a block on board or bob die. And that was another question people asked me in Michigan. They were like, what is a bob die? Well, a bob die means all of the shapes that you need to make one 10-inch finished block are on this die board. It's different than our cube system where typically you pull 2 or 3 different kinds of block or shapes from our cube to create a block. This one is just all together everything you need. And there's great value in our bob dies because these are half rectangle triangles. So when you sew them together, they make a rectangle. Here's some half square triangles. And these are tiny little isosceles triangles. Look at that. And there are 6 on the die board. So keep that in mind, quilters, that sometimes on the dies, we have more than one shape. So if your pattern tells you to cut 8 of shape B, you're going to only go back and forth 4 times. You only need 4 layers of fabric because there are 2 on the die board. Okay? All right. Now, we're going to talk about how to cut your fabric because that was another question. We're just going to do some like basic things. So, we're going to start with shape A. Oh, here are my pieces. Look at this. Listen, red is the color on the packaging. We're doing Halloween because October is soon. Okay, so look at this. I have some ghost fabric and some bats and some pearl. I have a cat pearl. She's black. So we're going to use that. So in order to cut fabric, you want to just kind of subcut it so you're not wasting fabric. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure, maybe, with a ruler. Come on. There we go. So you just want to measure from end to end. This ends at 5 3/4. So you just want to add 1/4 of an inch on either side and just rough cut with the fabric 6 1/4 inches, which I did. Shape A is what we call a directional shape. You need a left side and a right side. So you want to make sure your fabric goes back and forth across that die board. So one layer is facing up, the other layer is facing down. Shape B is my ghosts. All right. So I'm just going to lay my pieces right here. Again, I've subcut, so I'm not wasting any fabric. And at AccuQuilt, when we talk about fan folding, this is what we mean. We want to take our fabric, find the end, and just barely cover that shape so that you're not wasting any fabric. Shape C are the teeth, which are super fun. So in my case, I wanted the purple to be kind of the accent color, and then the white to be the background. So I'm going to need more white than I need blue. And you can cut up to 6 layers of cotton fabric in one pass through the cutter. So I'm going to actually do this. Okay. I'm going to, you know what? I'm just going to cut them all because I'll need them for more blocks. All right. But keep in mind, you're going to need more of the white than you are the purple. Okay? Now, do not worry about these little tails because when we run it through the cutter, it's only going to cut where there's fabric and a mat. So make sure you have a 6x24 cutting mat right here. And we're ready to go. Now, we're going to use our Go Big today, but again, this is on a 6x24 die board. It's going to fit through all of our cutters. Okay, so Chris, while I'm cutting, tell us if people want to live at the beach or in the cabins.
All right, let's see. Looks like Susan and Shelley both say a cabin in the woods. April, Mary, they both want the beach. Mary says beach house all the way. So
all the
she's
way.
Very confident about her decision.
Like you, Chris, well, I grew up in the Pacific Northwest, And in Seattle, you could actually go to the mountains and the beach in the same day.
Yes, you
So-
absolutely can.
So
and
if you
quite
live in the
easily.
Pacific Northwest, you have a little bit of an advantage there. Okay,
Yep.
what else are people saying about their cabins?
Pam says, I want to be at that beach house. So you picked a
Amen.
good photo there.
Yeah, yeah. Whoever owns that on the internet, we want to come hang out with you.
Gwen says, a beach house with a swimming pool. Very nice.
Beach house with a pool. I could be down for that. Huh. Okay. I love how our quilters are thinking about what they want to do there with that. Okay.
Linda and Carrie both say cabin in the woods. Diane wants a beach house.
I think the lovely Erica would like a cabin in the woods. She is, well, now that I say that, she does love seafood and the beach. I don't know, Erica, if you're watching, tell us if you want to, what you want to do. Okay. All right, so now
Terry's
we're going
got
to,
a.
go
oh,
ahead.
I was going to say, Terry's got a good one. Cabin in the woods with a lake, like where I grew up in Pennsylvania.
Cabin in the woods with a lake. Oh, yes. And if you had a cabin in the woods near the on the lake with a little lap pool, so
Oh,
I could
yes.
swim laps.
You get all of it. Yeah.
I could get all the things. Okay. Or we could have them both, right? But tell us what you want. Okay. All right. So before we talk about how to lay out our pieces, let's talk about our pro tip. If you want to change the colorway of this project, check out AccuQuilt's Go Quilt. It's on our website. It's a free design tool that allows you to change the colorway of thousands of patterns, including this one. All right, so now we're going to start by laying out our teeth. And Chris, did you have like a little pro tip about how you sewed yours together?
Not so much about sewing, but with tiny pieces like this, I always recommend pressing your seams open. You're going to get a
Yes.
lot of bulk really quick with these small pieces being sewn together.
Right. No, that's a good tip. And you want to follow the pattern on how to put your piece together, because what you're going to do is you're going to sew purple and white sections together, and then you're going to add the whites to the outside. I'll show you in just a second. So I need to make 2 blocks, so I need, the bottom has 5 triangles, 3 and 1. So I'm just going to sew a whole bunch of these together. So I need 6, 2, 3, 4. I love it when I can count. 5. I was writing, Chris, I don't know if you know this, a pattern for our upcoming quilt along. We didn't have a pattern for it, and so I wrote it.
Oh.
And I made a project. And Erica's going to announce it next week, so you guys get to have all the fun glory of announcing it. But I want you to know that I have never counted so much in my life than when writing a pattern.
It's true. You got to make sure all the pieces are accounted for.
All the pieces, you want to make sure. Now look, there's 1 thread there. I'm just going to snip it. I am not going to pull that thread.
It's so tempting to pull, but every time I do, it pulls the thread out and there's a little line in my fabric.
Yeah, and then you're cranky about that.
Yes.
Well, at least I am. Okay, tell us, do people have questions, and do they want to do cabins or lake houses?
Got a couple questions first.
Okay.
So Darlene is saying, hello, I have a 9-inch cube. Can this block be cut, done, and still look good?
So what's the answer to that, Chris?
So this is a bob that you cannot make with a cube.
That is
And it's
correct.
because of that isosceles triangle.
Yes.
The little teeth in there, that's not a shape that's in any of the cubes.
Right, right. But I get where she's coming from, because it, it has half square triangles and it has those rectangle triangles. Yeah, that's
Yep.
a good question. Okay, this is a great chain piecing. And notice I have no Band-Aids on my fingers. A couple of weeks ago, Chris, we were doing a show and I had cut myself, everyone knew, I cut myself with a rotary cutter. And I had it bled and bled, and so I had a couple of Band-Aids on. And lots of you were concerned, and I appreciate that.
It's all better now.
All better now. Though I did poke myself with the seam ripper because I sewed this block wrong. Okay. Do we have other questions?
Judy's asking, are you going to be in Lancaster?
No, but our good friend Anita is going to be in Lancaster. So when you go to the booth or to the lounge in Lancaster, because it starts today, right? I think it's today.
I am not sure.
You go give Anita a hug and tell her I said hi. So AQS last year was in Des Moines, and this year is back in Lancaster.
Okay.
So I am not there. It starts today.
All right.
And
Let's
I don't know if I'm going to festival or not. Chris, are you going to market or festival or?
I should be at festival. Yes.
Oh, good.
So that's the second. I mean, it gets confusing because they're back-to-back events at the same place.
Yes.
Festival starts, I believe, on Halloween.
It does. And I feel like if I go to festival, I'm going to walk around with a trick-or-treat bag and go to vendors and say trick-or-treat and see what they give me.
Oh, fun. That would be fun.
And I think I have to have a Halloween shirt because you have several, right?
Yes, the majority of my shirts are technically Halloween. I wear them year-round.
All right. So now I have my little 6 triangles. Okay, look how fast that was. And now I'm going to press them out. So many things. Don't forget, if you have the Go Big and you don't have a Go Big die catcher, you need to order one today. They are finally in stock. It's going to allow that die to stop there. Okay. Do you have one, Chris?
I do, and I love it.
It makes a difference, doesn't it?
It does. I was a little skeptical at first, I will admit.
I was too.
love that it holds the power brick, because that was always in my way, no matter what orientation I set it up.
It's funny you say that because I thought the same thing. I was like, well, you know, I mean, it's going to stop when it gets to the end of the die. But the fact that it stores your power cord in your brick makes a huge difference.
It does. And I find it's extra work surface. So when you got to rub your mat to get the static off and move stuff around, it's really nice having that at the same level as the base of the cutter. Like it feels a lot nicer to work with.
Yep. Get you one. They're available on our website now. The Go Big Die Catcher. Okay. All right. What are people liking, or do they have questions?
Let's see. Back to the where do you want to live, beach house or cabin in the woods. Patty says a beach house in the summer and cabin in the woods in the fall. I would probably be opposite that.
I would do the opposite.
I love visiting the beach, especially here on the Oregon coast in the, technically off season.
Yes.
So when it's nice and stormy at the beach and there's not a lot of tourists, that is when you will find me there.
Yes. And especially because Oregon, if you have not been to the Oregon coast, put it on your bucket list. It's truly one of the most beautiful coastlines in the country. And Haystack Rock, which I think I've told you this story. When I was a kid, we went there all the time as a kid. And when I was there a couple of years ago for an event, the tide was out. And so there were tide pools all along the way. And Haystack Rock in your quilting head, you think, oh, it's like a big rock. It's huge. It's ginormous.
Huge.
It's ginormous. But it was the first time in my entire life that I was able to walk to the rock and touch it. But there were all these cool little tide pools and stuff. And it was winter. It was pouring down rain. It was awesome. Okay. Yep. All right. Hold on now. Before Chris goes on, let's talk about this. Because Chris, I pressed my seams open. What's happening here? Oh, there we go. Okay. How am I missing one? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, here. Okay. So you want to lay out your pieces so that you're sewing them together. And this little row right here, now it's going to need the little whites.
Yep.
Okay. And it helps to lay out your pieces.
It really does.
I'm just saying. We tell people that all the time. Lay out your pieces, make a test block. It helps. Okay, I'll move my drink. All right, Chris, what else are people saying?
Let's see. Rena would like a beach house with lots of sun.
Okay.
Colleen says beach house every day.
Yeah.
Donna and Judy both want a cabin in the woods. Oh, and so does Carol. Patsy says beach house all day long. Long walks on the beach are very calming.
Oh, I
That's
agree.
usually true. It gets very windy in Oregon.
It does.
So it might not be as calming as other beaches.
Yes, it does. And okay, all beaches are not the same. So I have done events up and down the Florida coastline, and some beaches in Florida have shells, lots and lots of shells, and others do not, and some have rocks, and like the beach at AQS Daytona, the sand is like thick enough and sturdy enough you can run on the beach. Whereas,
Oh, wow.
Whereas other beaches, you know, your feet get caught in the sand. So I have real specific requirements for my beach house, because just in case anybody wondered.
Right.
Because I just really, I mean, I love them. I just think it's so fun. Okay. All right, Chris, do we have other questions or people telling us where they want to be?
We do. Let's see.
Okay, I'm just pressing seams open while Chris talks.
All right. Betsy Ross asks, would tweezers also work to remove pieces of thread?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would say be careful and don't dig real deep, but yeah, you could totally use tweezers to pluck out the stubborn threads.
Yeah. That's a good question. Okay. I gotta make sure I'm laying my pieces right. Okay, what else are people asking?
Let's see. Margaret says, not sure if anyone has asked yet, but who makes the ghost fabric you're using? Is that Art Gallery?
Hold, please.
I recognize it.
Art Gallery Spooky and Sweet is the Art Gallery.
Yep, that line, the spooky and sweet, I think they do a new one every year.
Be still my heart. Are you serious? How do I not know this?
They use very similar prints, I believe, but like change up the colors and, you know, do little tweaks to them. I absolutely love that fabric
Okay,
line.
I need to talk to the folks at Art Gallery, because holy smokes. I didn't know that. That is super cool.
They have like, I think it was a gray, and I don't know where I have it, but it's a gray background with like pink witch boots all over it.
I have seen that one.
Yeah, super cute.
Oh, gosh. All right, Chris, now my heart's really going pitter-patter. Okay, so look what we're doing here. We're just building teeth. So now I'm just going to do these last two. I have a huge, probably not as much as you though, Chris, collection of Halloween fabric.
My Halloween drawer, I can barely close.
And okay, so after Halloween, what's your favorite holiday?
Oh, that's a tough one. Like, I will buy Halloween fabric all year round.
Oh, yeah.
And use it all year round. I'm not huge on Christmas fabric. I have started collecting some.
Yeah, I'm not huge on Christmas fabric. The lovely Erica has a bunch of Christmas fabric.
But I think I do Halloween fabric and then rainbow fabric. So summer, rainbows.
My next favorite holiday after Halloween is Valentine's Day.
Mm-hmm.
I love Valentine's Day. And I send Valentines to the people I love. I love Valentine's Day. It's a big deal for me. I feel like it's the Halloween and the candy and the Valentine's Day and the candy. I feel like there's a connection there.
I can see that.
But I do love Valentine's fabric. So when I'm at Missouri Star Quilt, they have Halloween fabric and Valentine's fabric. You know, they have. When I'm at the penny store, it's just the fabric store, and they have it year round. So
nice.
I don't have to wait. You know, sometimes at my local quilt shop, I have to wait for them to do that. Okay, now we've made our teeth. And just so you know, when I sewed these at home, I was done in like 5 minutes. So don't think it's going to take you very long, okay?
When I first pulled the die out and cut them, I was a little like, ugh, this is going to take forever. It went together so fast.
So fast.
I was shocked.
We're just chatting here, so we're going to just do this. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew. Look at how perfect these isosceles triangles fit on top. So I'm going to put these together, and then I'm going to sew my triangle together with my triangles. And then we're going to talk about, okay, I don't know what is wrong with my presser foot here, but, oh, the air went off. Kenyon, we're all good. Our air conditioning has been out for, I don't know, since Chris was here.
Right. I mean, that's been, what, like a month and a half?
120 degrees outside. Holy smokes. It just took them a while to get the part and the whole bit. Now, Chris, I ended up just sewing these away or pressing these away. Did you press those open too? Did you press all your seams open or just that one?
I don't remember for that seam specifically. I'm usually in the habit of pressing open anyway, so I wouldn't be surprised if I did press open. But for that one, because there's no seams that are going to butt up to it, you could totally press it to the side.
Yeah. All right, so now I'm going to do this. All right, Chris, while I'm sewing these last 2 seams here. Now, listen, you spent all this time. You want to make sure that those line up, those little points.
Little points, yeah.
I know. I love it. Okay, tell us what people are asking. You can ask Chris questions, too.
Yes. Let's see. Angela, going back to the cabin in the woods versus the beach house. Angela says, in my former life, before retirement, I was a forester, so I will prefer a cabin in the woods. That sounds wonderful.
That sounds fabulous. A forest ranger is super cool.
Yes.
And it's like, you know, when you go to national parks and you meet park rangers, I just have such respect for them. Because boy, howdy, they're just making sure everything is being okay in the world.
And that's a lot to cover. Like,
oh, yes.
I mean, just so much area to cover. Yeah.
It's
quite a job.
I went last year to Mesa Verde. Have you been to Mesa Verde in Colorado?
I have not.
Okay, it's a cool place and it was on my bucket list. Here's a pro tip about going to Mesa Verde. I had never been. And I had a rental car, and I thought, oh, I'm just going to come to the front entrance, and then I'm going to go to the parking lot, and there will be Mesa Verde. It is 21 miles, see, from the entrance to Mesa Verde, to the cliffs.
Wow.
And luckily, I had stopped and got gas.
Yeah.
Because otherwise... Yeah, and it's just back and forth, you know, switchback roads. And there's, you know, places you can stop and see and stuff. But 21 miles, just giving everybody the heads up. And when I got there, I said to them, the guy said, oh, you're going to be late for your tour. And I said, no, I'm like 20 minutes early. And he goes, oh, no, it's 21 miles. And I said, that should be the biggest banner on your website.
Seriously, like get to the gate an hour ahead. Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, because it said you want to be at your tour, you know, 30 minutes before. And I was like, oh, okay, you know. And so anyway, yeah, I thought it was hilarious. It's like, oh, okay. So things to know about national parks. But our park ranger was terrific. He was really knowledgeable about lots of things. Okay, nice. So now I have built my triangles with my triangles. Now, Chris, there's a process here. The next thing you want to add are your ghosts. Because if you try to add your sides first, they won't fit. And it tells you that on the pattern. It doesn't say sew your ghosts. It says show sew shape B or whatever it is. Yeah. Yes. So that's important.
Looking at the die over here.
That's important to know. Okay, and I'm going to line up my little pieces here. All right, Chris, do we have questions or where people want to live?
Let's see. Oh, Teresa says, I've also used Silly Putty to clean my dies. I think that kind of works the same as the lint roller. Little sticky to pick up all the loose threads.
Silly
Very
Putty is
interesting.
a toy from my childhood.
I have not played with Silly Putty in a very long time.
Wow. I had not ever known that. Okay. So now I've added my ghosts, and I'm going to press towards my ghosts. That's a good tip. Yeah, you can use, I just like a lint roller brush because then it's, you know, it's just right there handy in your quilt store, in your studio, in the space you call your room. Okay.
Right.
So now, Chris, I have to tell you all that I sewed my these blocks wrong. So at AccuQuilt, we have a die called triangle and a rectangle, and this is how you put it together, and which is what I did, which is incorrect. So Chris, you have a tip for us.
Yes. So when you're putting your sides on, just remember skinny end to skinny end.
Yep.
This, I don't think it's the same angle as the triangle
in a
square
rectangle.
Or the kite. It might be the same as the kite shape. I have not compared them. But it was very confusing to me, even as I was trying to design patterns for this die. I kept flipping that around, and it doesn't make a flat side when you put them that way. It's like slightly off, and
yeah, this is how it sits together. So skinny side to skinny side, skinny end to skinny end.
Yep.
Okay. And then did you press those seams open?
I did, but that's another one. You could press it to the side if you like.
Yeah. I just keep, I don't know why I keep asking you that, because I know that that's how you sew. I am a press to the dark side kind of gal. So I have a hard time when I'm spending so much time pressing seams open that I kind of miss out on sewing.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, oh. Okay, and I am going to press this before I sew the other side because they meet at the skinny end.
It's very important to press first, yes.
Yes.
Or you're going to sew that other piece down and you won't be able to open it up.
Yeah,
and you got to pull out the seam ripper.
And it says so in the pattern. It says to do all of those things. Oh, I love it. Okay. So again, a great chain piecing block. I sewed my pieces together in less than 10 minutes, you know, by the time I cut them and sewed them. I think it took me longer to kind of figure out what colorway I wanted to do.
I believe that, yeah.
You know, it's like, oh, what color should I do here? Okay. All right, Chris, where are people wanting to live?
Let's see. It looks like Carol, Angeline, and Dee all went to Cabin in the Woods.
Okay.
Kathy and Joni want a beach house.
Okay.
Janine says Cabin in the Woods for all seasons. She
there
is
you go.
hunkering down in the cabin.
Oh, bless you, Greg. Well, you know, it's funny. I think as I've been sitting here listening to all of this, I'm not a big hiker. Like, I like walks. And I feel like if you have a cabin in the woods, you're going to have to hike. I don't know.
Yeah. At some point in time, you will have to hike.
But
yes.
I do like the idea of having a lake nearby, like at the end of your driveway.
Nice. Right. Oh, and Virginia even says, I want a cabin in the woods, but next to a lake.
There you go.
Janice says, a beach house on Lake Michigan.
Oh,
Would that be a beach house? Is it a beach?
They have a beach.
Okay, there you
I know
go.
so much about Michigan now. I spent 4 days with quilters who taught me all the things about the Upper Peninsula and the Lower Peninsula. And if you live on the Upper Peninsula, oh gosh, you're called a Yoper. Oh, somebody's going to tell me wrong. But if you live below there's a bridge, Mackinac Bridge, right, that connects Upper Michigan to Lower Michigan. And if you live below the bridge, you're called a troll.
Oh.
Because trolls live under the bridge.
Under the bridge, yeah.
Yeah, but I think it's a yoper or something. There's a funny name for it. And I learned that on the outside of Michigan, on the lake, oh, here, I can do this. Okay, I got to turn around. Okay, this is what I learned. Okay, this is Michigan. Okay, you got to put your thumb here. Okay, so here's the mitten, and here's Grand Rapids. Here's the Lake Michigan. Okay, and right here, that's where the bridge is, Mackinac Bridge. And then up here, because there's more water here because of the Great Lakes, right up here is a national park that the only way you can get to is to fly to or to go by a boat.
Oh, goodness.
And I can't, for the life of me, remember what it is. But someone will tell us. So.
Patricia did message in and say it is Youper.
Youper. See, I was close.
Yooper.
Yep. And trolls. So everyone I talked to who said, I would say, where in Michigan are you from? They would hold their hands up like I just did and say, you know, here's the lake and here's the mitten, right? And I live over here, or I live down here. It was hilarious. Oh. It was hilarious. Okay, let's finish sewing our block together. Holy smokes, it's almost 12:45. Okay, look. I'm liking this, Chris. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew the sides and press them in opposite directions, and we're going to sew our block together. Okay, so while I'm doing this, don't forget if you have any questions, and don't forget to join Chris's Quilt Along. I'm excited about that. Don't forget to join our Quilt Along that starts here in a couple of weeks.
And we'll announce what it is next week.
I know, Erica's here. She gets to have all of the ta-da-ness.
Looks like Jean says, cabin in the woods, which as of 4 years ago, we have. Deer trail runs right alongside the outhouse. They get to see birds. I saw a bald eagle last week.
Oh my
gosh. It's warm. Yep, it's warm but not sweltering in the summer, and it's great quilting weather in the winter.
Oh,
that's
listen,
very important.
Who is this Jean? Jean, where does she live and where can we be there? Chris and I will join you. We have to take Erica.
Yes. A great, fun winter quilting retreat.
I went to a really great quilting retreat here in Nebraska last winter, and it was out in the middle of a cornfield, and it was breathtaking. It was beautiful. Okay. So there's my ghosts.
Cute.
Okay, so I'm going to press one left and one right.
All right.
So my little block lines up together.
While you're doing that, Carol asked a question for me, actually. She says, Chris, do you quilt your own quilts? And if so, do you have any issues when sewing your seams open? So I do quilt my own quilts. I have a long arm. I have a Unique 16X Elite, so a smaller long arm. I typically do edge-to-edge designs. I don't really do like stitch in the ditch, so I've not had a problem with open seams, like any popping or anything like that.
Oh, I see what she's asking, yes. That was...
I like pressing open because you get a really flat block, which is really nice to long arm.
Yeah, and truly, quilters, you need to think about the person who's doing your long arming if you're sending it out, because they really truly do want you to have nice flat seams. It
Yeah.
just makes a prettier quilt. So,
But if you're sewing yourself and doing stitch in the ditch, then you may want to consider only pressing to the side.
right. Yes. Yes. Okay, I'm loving this block.
Are you going to make a bunch more and do a whole quilt out of it?
I think I'm gonna make a table runner, but yes, I'm doing a whole bunch more.
Fun.
I'm trying to decide, Chris, if I should do the same. I have enough fabric to do the same, or if I should make different. I think I should
that's
do the
tough.
same. Because they make 10-inch blocks.
Yep.
So I could just put 4 together and a
Have
border.
a quick table runner. Yeah.
I love it. Okay, so let's talk real quick before we go about this quilt, because mine was super fun with Halloween colors. This is the pattern that comes with the die, and we talked about there are cornerstones and sashing, and we have 18 different strip dies that make that you could use for cornerstones and sashing, okay? Now, quilters, this makes a 10-inch finished block. And here was something I thought would be super fun. So the pineapple die also makes, is that a better place for me, Greg? There we go. A 10-inch block. And look at how cool that is together. And it would be really fun to turn both blocks on point.
Mm.
And, okay, we have this pattern called pineapple lemonade that I want to make. And it uses the pineapple die from Janine LaCour, but it also uses the pineapple 10-inch die. And I thought, wouldn't it be fun to use tons of yellow scraps and use the Pine Burr and the pineapple?
That would be super fun.
I think it might be my winter project. And then I have to talk about this one because I love it. I'm a huge fan of Larkspur quilts. And they're just fabulous. You should follow them on all social media platforms. So this is a pattern that's free on our website, and it's called, hold on, Sparkling Starlet by Amanda Harwood. She's of Larkspur Quilts. And she used the Pine Burr die and the Rising Star die, which also makes a 10-inch finished block. So, okay, she made a little lap quilt, but look at how cute this pillow would be, Chris.
That would be super cute, yeah.
I mean, you could just make it in all sorts of, like, you know, winter, spring, summer, fall colors.
Oh, yes.
Because it makes a good 20-inch pillow. So think about 10-inch, other 10-inch cubes, or, you know, your 10-inch cube or other 10-inch bob dies that would go with it. All right, you want to follow the pattern, lay out your blocks, finish the project by adding batting between the top and the backing. Pinner-based quilt is desired. Using your favorite binding method. Chris, do you have a favorite binding method?
I lately have found I'm sewing it to the back and then flipping it around to the front and top stitching it down.
Amen. You and me can quilt and bind together. The lovely Erica hand binds most of her little projects. And you and I had a whole conversation about how long it took me to do this one project last night. Just hours and hours. Okay.
Yep.
Be sure and share all your finished projects with us on our social media platform. Use hashtag AccuQuiltBuilt or AccuQuilt. Don't forget about National Sewing Month. We're having a big contest. You can use the pineapple die by Janine LaCour or the lemon die. It has to be an original pattern. All right, be sure and check out all our deals on the AccuQuilt website. And I think Chris gets to announce the winner today.
Yes. All right. Drum roll, please. Today's winner is Jane L. from St. Thomas, Missouri.
Congratulations, Jane. I am going to be reaching out to you to get your address so that we can ship you a Pine Burr die. Okay, Chris, do we have any questions before we head out here?
I don't see any more questions. There were lots of people putting in their
Where they
beach
want to
house
live.
versus cabin. And Miss Erica, I see here, says she wants both.
She is such a diva. All right, quilters. Hey, on behalf of all of us, who's helping us with our comments today, Chris? Lauren and
Lauren and Caitlin, it looks like today.
Lauren and Caitlin, thanks so much for helping us with our questions and comments. Here in the Dream Studio, we have Greg, and Chelsea is back from maternity leave, and she is the cutest baby. She did not bring him, but that's okay.
Aw.
I know, I was hoping. And of course, Kenyon, and I'm Pam. Hey, thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week. Thanks so much for watching. To learn more about your quilting craft, be sure to follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel for live events every Tuesday and Wednesday. You can check out the events page on the AccuQuilt website for more details on upcoming shows. And if you're looking for even more inspiration, visit our blog for exclusive tutorials filled with tips and tricks. And remember, at AccuQuilt, we help you cut time so you can quilt more. Be sure to join us for next week's AccuQuilt Live. The lovely Erica will be here to show you how to make block using one of our 2 new dies.